everyone. Welcome to this Monday's edition of the Light Gate, the first Monday in November. We are coming to you, not calling, from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM on the Gold Coast. We are on Facebook, we're on Roku, we're on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. Our guest this Monday night is somebody we love very much. He's been with us before, and I'm kind of excited about it. There's a new book involved, and I'm just going to fly it right over to Preston. Go.
Thank you, Dolly. Truly appreciate you guys all coming to join us tonight. We're actually doing a pre-record because our guest was not able to join us live. So that's just something to keep in note. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. And my lovely co-host is Dolly Safran. And we are doing Lightgate episode number 132. So we're just trucking right along. I'd love to say hello to all you folks in chat. I know we have a lot of wonderful regulars, so thanks for joining us. We truly appreciate it. And you know who you are, but hi to all of you and much love. And again, thank you for joining us. Super excited about our guest tonight, Aage Nost. He joined us quite some time ago, and we were just starting out. We were just a little baby radio show back then. I think it was episode 18.
Something like that, yes.
But so that's well over a year ago, closer to 2 actually. So very, very excited to have Aage Nost back. For those of you who couldn't join the show last week, we did a Q&A and book giveaway. Some of you still haven't responded who won the book giveaway. So go back to the show and archive on my channel and you can see it in the show notes. I also want to make a quick announcement. I made this last week, but I'd like to just remind everyone that I'm getting all my YouTube episodes and the Lightgate translated, or with captions rather, into 183 different languages. So people all over the world can enjoy the content. Just wanted to let you know, because it's a labor of love. Let me tell you, it takes a lot of work. All right, well, let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. His name, of course, is Aage Nost. If you haven't heard of him, I don't know where you've been, because he's a pretty prominent figure in this field of UFOs and the paranormal. He is an experiencer, he's an author, he is a podcaster and a researcher and quite a bit more. He was born on a farm in Norway and actually managed the family farm after years, and after attending and graduating from agricultural college. Even as a teenager, he pursued interests in the paranormal and learned hypnosis from a magician in Europe. And as a young man, spent 1 year in mandatory military service, actually driving a battle tank in Norway. How about that? After he left the military, he began pursuing all forms of knowledge, and by age 25 had learned several languages, studied many scientific disciplines, as well as metaphysics and different schools of spirituality. Left Norway, came to the United States, where he graduated from flight school. Very cool. Got a pilot license with a full certification, including commercial pilot and instrument rating and flight instructor. He worked at several flight schools and founded, along with a partner, Arrowhead Airways, which was one of the most active flight schools in Minneapolis, Minnesota at its time. After a long career in aviation, he began to pursue his interests in the paranormal, hypnosis, and mind development, and has taught classes in speed reading. I took a class in speed reading. I'd highly recommend it. I know you did too, Dolly. He began pursuing... He taught classes in speed reading, creative visualizations for healing and manifestation, creative goal setting, and much more. Created the Freedom Civil Rights Investigation Service, helping many people with legal problems. A good guy. He published and wrote for the Constitutional Liberator, a monthly newsletter covering controversial issues about effective medical cures that have been banned, which is such a shame. And other topics that the mainstream media refused to touch. He moved into radio and TV, hosting Holistic Healthcare call-in radio show in Tucson, Arizona, and as host and producer of The Hidden Truth, which featured UFOs, the paranormal, conspiracies, and more. He's actually worked on numerous other shows, including Access News, the Universal Consciousness Show, and currently with his partner Norway Love, broadcast podcasts the podcast Broadcast Team Alpha, which both Dolly and I have had the privilege and honor to be a guest on. So with his partner, Nori, they have created Mastermind for Meditation and Manifestation of the Future we like to see, instead of when others create everything for us. So basically teaching people how to take control of their lives. He has participated in numerous television documentaries, and with Patricia Ross, he co-wrote the book Alien Encounters in the Midwest. He is also the author of the books Spiritual, Higher Consciousness and Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. You can see that book right here, as well as the other book, Universal Success Principles and How Billionaires Think. Now that's got to be really interesting. So I hope we can touch on that, as well as many other topics which he knows quite a bit about. I think that's it. The links are in the show notes, so check them out when you have a chance. And let's just bring on our esteemed guest, Aage Nost.
Hi, Aage. Welcome.
Hello, hello. I have coffee in hand and I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been a while since you've last been on. So how are things going for you?
Oh man. I'm having so much fun. Half of it is probably illegal because you know the saying, find something that you love to do and you never work a day in your life.
That's right.
And I never really have worked. I mean, just playing pretty much most of my life, at least after I left Europe. And when you play, you accomplish more because you enjoy what you're doing. And right now I'm doing shows and interviews and stuff. And think about it, both you guys and me, we get to rub shoulders and associate with some of the most interesting people in the world.
Yep.
Yeah, very true. Yes.
How can we do better than that?
Right.
You can't
Exactly.
complain.
Not complaining.
No, I bet you guys having a lot of fun too.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
why I always
beyond that, think about all the people that we help to educate and help them with things that they have been wondering about, opening their minds up. I ever so often I say thank you.
Yeah, I try to do that every day. Gratitude is my first thought in the morning. I'm just grateful for everything, I try to. You can't start your day without gratitude. It sets the stage, which way you're going to go.
Yes,
I try that every day.
It's so interesting because you're covering topics like we said in your bio that the mainstream media is actually working against, trying to cover up and essentially keep people ignorant. Because the stuff we talk about, you're not going to find in the mainstream media.
Not at all. No.
No, it's not in their purpose.
Exactly. So our show has grown by leaps and bounds in terms of our audience since you were last on. So I'm sure there's some people here who didn't get a chance to watch the previous show. If you haven't, go back to it. It's very interesting. But for those who haven't heard of you, and can you kind of sort of expand on your bio a little bit? So how did this all begin for you? And
I don't know that bio. I started assembling some of the things that I've done, and I got a little too long. So it just I got one of these days I'm gonna have to create a shorter one because it takes too long to read it.
No, it's wonderful. It shows how accomplished you are and what a journey you've been on.
Yeah, you and I have a little bit in common where that's concerned. I've been all over the place and done everything that I could think to do. I wasn't always just interested in one thing. I just kept going forward, and every new moment in my life brought me new information, new ability, new adventures in the world. I just couldn't help myself, and I can't. I'm one of those people, and I think we get that in common, definitely. And then when we get to this point in life, people hear the bio and they I've had people literally, and I know you've probably had this too. How did you fit that in? You know, how did you do all of that? And it's like, I don't know, you don't think about it, you just do it.
Yeah.
There are enough hours in a day, there are enough moments in life to accomplish anything you want to do. And some people find that an impossibility, and I don't do that. I'm Dolly Possible, I can do anything. And it's amazing,
Yeah, and it seems like when something new pops up that is interesting, you want to do something with it.
Yes, absolutely. You can't help yourself. I've become obsessed lately, It's like, it's like new toys, or new shiny things, or, new undiscovered everything. It's just, wow, I get excited.
Yeah, well, you teach this sort of thing, because I think a lot of people are sort of their own worst enemy. They think, oh, I can't, or, oh, I don't want to, or this will take work. But if you follow your excitement and you're ambitious, you can absolutely achieve whatever you want to achieve.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is that TV sitting on the wall, it kind of, boy, I shouldn't even use this word, but it kills people, because it kills their ambition, kills their dream.
Right.
But the good thing about that is that anybody that is listening to a show like this one, they don't spend much time watching TV, because they're watching shows like this, they're watching YouTube, and they are very selective about what they see. And they are on a journey that is totally different from Joe Blow and Harry Ho Handle.
Yeah.
I like that. Perfect. Wow. I know.
So you've had a lot of unusual experiences in your life, and let's talk a little bit about your childhood and how that brought you here today.
Childhood, man, oh man, it was nice back on the farm. It was comfortable and was interesting. We had a rather large farm and forestry, and it was animals around, and it was nice. But the thing about it is that when I was about 11 or 12 years old, I talked to somebody else. Talked to me about UFOs, and it sounded interesting to me, so I just looked into it a little bit, which was kind of difficult to do back then, because you had to go to the library and find stuff. Otherwise, there was nothing in the newspapers, except for there was one newspaper that I got my hands on where they talked about these things, and I read what it said, and they were flying through the air, no wings, no engines. And
Right.
I did a little bit of research. I think I was probably maybe around 12 or so, and I found the chances are that it was something electromagnetic that helped them to stay in the air. And I found out enough that there was electromagnetic waves that could travel outwards from this thing. And I thought, that's interesting. Maybe that'll affect a compass needle.
Mm-hmm.
So I built a little contraption that was around a compass. They had a battery to get a switched on and off switch. And then I ran it through a compass where I hooked it up so that if the compass needle turned, it touched a wire that set off a circle that made a bell ring.
Mm-hmm.
This became a UFO detector.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
It worked. I 2 or 3 times that it rang when I was observing it, and I grabbed binoculars and ran outside, and 2 of those times I saw something in the sky that just shouldn't be there. And ever so often...
Wait, back up. What did you see?
Well, there were lights. There was one was fairly close, but it was lit up. There was kind of like a long cigar, but not just a cigar. There was also a little triangular to it, it seemed like, I remember. Another one was a bigger triangle. And I remember, I was going to school every day. So my mom, every so often, she said, "What is that thing up in your bedroom that the bell goes off after, and the bell rings?" And I told her, and her eyes glazed over, and she walked away. She didn't really care about that. But the thing worked, and in fact, in the picture gallery of broadcastteamalpha.com, I have a drawing of it. This is something that everybody can put together. You don't need any electronic education. You just get yourself a bell and a battery and a switch and then a compass, and it shows you how to hook up the one wire to the casing of the compass and the other one, put it over the needle is here. Then you put the wire on each side. So if the needle moves, it touches the wire, and then the circuit goes off and the bell goes off. It's simple to do. Anybody can do this. If you go and look at the drawings, it will make sense to you. So I've had quite a few people make this thing, and I don't know what most of them have found by doing that, but I know I have over the last 25, 30 years that I started talking about this contraption. I think about 2 or 3 of them and said, "Yeah, I saw something too." So I know it works not just back in Norway, but it works everywhere. But then again, if the ships are propelled by consciousness or crystal technology, this probably will not work. It has to be an electromagnetic wave that turns the compass needle.
Wow. So I'm curious, in Norway as a child, was there much talk about UFOs? I mean, when you went to the bookstore, there were actually UFO books there, or the library rather?
There were some. I found 1 or 2 of them. I forget how many, but there were some things. But in my neighborhood, there was just me and a neighbor kid, Steinar, which live in Sweden right now. We were pretty close, and we were talking about UFOs, and we were talking about hypnosis and things like that. And nobody else in the neighborhood even had any interest in these things. So we were kind of the outcast,
Yeah.
Yeah, we were the weird ones that had strange thoughts, but I didn't really care.
Just ahead of your time, that's all.
Where in Norway did you live? What part of Norway?
Halfway up the country. It's just a little bit north of Trondheim, which is a big city. Well, a big city, less than 1 million people, but it's a big city over there. And it was a nice. I kind of have fun talking about it in this way, that it's a nice place to be, a nice place to visit, and a wonderful place to be from.
Yeah. Understand totally.
Yeah. Two reasons for that. First of all, it gets really bare ass cold in the winter, really cold, and a lot of snow. And I think I'm allergic to cold, because if I get cold, my skin break out in little bumps. Yeah, it's called goosebumps. But on the other one, the country is totally changed now. It's a total socialistic country where everybody is equally poor, basically.
Yes,
they don't even understand what the lack of freedom costs them to live under. There hardly is any freedom over there. I mean, now you need a fishing license to go fishing on a lake on your own property.
Oh, yes. That's insane. Wow.
Yeah.
If you want to make improvements to your home in Sweden, you have to get somebody in the government to come and say what that's going to be, how it's going to happen, and what you have to do with it. You can't just decide for yourself or get an architect or somebody to draw it up and then you do it. It is very, very complicated. They even go so far as to tell you what materials you can use and not use. You know, it's
Yeah.
Wow.
it's
Yeah,
not
and
good.
the reason is because even though they think they own it and they paid it off, they don't own the property because they
No.
registered the property with the state. So they registered the title, and all you have is beneficial interest, which
Right.
is actually the exact same it is here in the US.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Wow.
agree 100%. I know. It's
Yeah.
like taking a lease out that you own the lease. And you can have it go down to your family, but they end up paying taxes on it anyway. It's and the government at any time can come in and relieve you of that lease. That's how they operate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have lots of relatives up there complain a lot about that.
Yeah.
So
People
you
have
were
fallen asleep.
so you were a teenager when you met a magician in Norway who taught you hypnosis? What was that like?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting actually, because I got interested in it and I found the book on it and I started reading that, and then I found out about this magician in Oslo. That was probably when I met him. I was probably maybe 18, something like that. And Tore Torell, he was a very well-known magician in Europe. He did incredible things. And he told me one time, this is good actually, because he said, some of the things I do should not work, but it does.
Hmm.
So he thought, I pressed him a little bit on it, and he says, well, I don't know how it works, he says, but I think I have some help.
Wow. Like what is he talking about?
Maybe unseen influences that helped him.
No, I mean what does he do that what exactly does
Well,
a magician
that
entail? Is that
he
like magic
walked
tricks or
like he walked. That one of the things that he said, he walked into a box, and then they collapsed the box, and there's nothing there.
Hmm.
Nothing on a solid cement floor.
Mm.
And then they put the box back up, and he come back. But he said, my perception of it is I am still standing there with the box collapsed around me, but nobody can see me. And
Wow.
then they put the box back together, and then there he is. So,
So was this an illusion, or do you think he's actually doing something that's in the
well,
realms of the paranormal?
that's what he did not fully understand,
Wow.
because he said it shouldn't work, but it does.
Does
Huh.
he have ET experiences, do you think?
That we never talked about. I don't remember anyway if he had anything like that.
Wow.
So he
But
taught you hypnosis, huh?
yeah, and yeah, he did. And well, I got a book from him that he kind of like a manual that talked about it, and I started practicing, and then we were able to talk on the phone, and he gave me pointers, and because we were in two different parts of the country at the time, and this was a little bit of a process. And then my neighbor kid that I mentioned before, we were practicing together, and I think we got pretty good at it actually. We were able to do some things that was kind of fun.
Very cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, so you had to join the military? That's compulsory in Norway?
Yeah. They either go to the military or spend 1 year in jail. So I chose the military.
Good choice. Wow. You got to drive a tank. What was that like?
Uh, it was fun, but the whole military experience was kind of a drag, because I'd rather be home on the farm doing something. But it was fun going down the road, because when the roads are narrow in Norway, they're not that wide. So when you drove down there with a tank, we
It
had
ate
to
the road
get
up.
as far over as we could, and then cars barely could make it on the other side. So it was a little scary for the cars, I suppose.
Yeah, I was a driver at first. My MOS was transportation first, okay, and then I started doing things, adding to that. And one of the things that drove me crazy was almost being run over by tanks all the time. Okay, and I learned to hear out of the back of my head. I'm not kidding you. I knew when they were coming. I could feel it on the floor of my feet. I had to, because you guys driving tanks can go a little crazy sometimes and go pretty fast, and your maneuverability in a tank is more than I ever thought it could be. You could spin around if you want to, and it was terrifying me every now and then. I mean, they would literally come out of nowhere, they're right there, and literally stop and back up instantly. I had that down. Okay, could do it anytime, and that's hard to do in a double deuce, by the way. That's one of the biggest vehicles they have, and I got to ride in a tank once. They let me, Fort Benning in Georgia has the Rock of the Marne, which is where all the, they moved half of Fort Knox onto Fort Benning and the other half to Fort Hood. And so I got offered a couple of rides a couple times. It's pretty cool. My brother drove a tank, but he drove during the days of Fort Knox.
Are they roomy inside, or are they very cramped?
They're a little cramped, but it's also noisy.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It causes your hearing problems when you later in life. That's why you got to wear headphones all the time to protect your ears. And it's crazy. I know.
Yeah,
so it was after that you really started pursuing spiritual knowledge?
Well, I was, a little bit back in Europe too, but most of that came after I came to the US. I left Norway at 25, came to the US to go to flight school, and took me a year to get all my certificates and licenses, multi-engine instructor rating and stuff. And then I started working for other people to gain experience, other flight schools. And after I think it was about 3 years later, me and a partner started a flight school in Minneapolis that grew fairly quickly on us. And I flew for a living managed the flight school. And for about 23 years, I guess, I was in the aviation. Wow. But then after that, I changed my timeline and started studying other things, and got involved in a mind development course, and also start studying more esoteric subjects.
Okay, so here's the question. While you were flying, did you ever see a UFO?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What's the best one you ever saw?
Several times. There were one time up in northern Nebraska that I was in the right seat as an instructor with a student on the left side, and we were doing instrument training, so she had a hood on that she could not see outside, but she could see the panel.
Fine, the instruments, yes. Right.
And I saw something coming out from the right side at a 45-degree angle and flew right underneath our airplane. It flew very fast. And it had a goofy shape to it. It almost looked like a skateboard.
Okay.
But it had windows on the side of it. Wow. And it flew underneath our airplane, probably around 400 feet below us. And I got a really good look at it, and then it was gone. And I tore the hood off, and I told her, "Did you look? Did you see that?" But it was too late; she couldn't see it.
Happened that fast.
Yeah.
Did her instruments show any deviation at all during that incident? Because she might have gotten, while you're flying, and you got a UFO going underneath you. She should have seen her instruments change slightly,
No,
altimeter.
I don't think there was any talk of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
The only thing that probably could get affected would be the magnetic compass.
Right.
but that was never mentioned, and I didn't even look at it. So
Okay.
So there's no way that could be a conventional craft moving that close to you. That would be considered a near miss, right?
yeah, it could. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that wasn't it. But I
Yeah, your
thought,
altimeter will be affected as well. Just saying, I know this for a fact. It's not just your compass. Your altimeter will show that it doesn't know where you are. It'll dive and then jump up and look. It'll do this because it doesn't know where it's at right now because you become weightless underneath that thing. When they slide under you, there's a brief second where their anti-magnetism, throws your plane into that, and the altimeter will do this and that. It will jump up and down.
You know
okay.
what's weird to me is that had to be intentional because, let's face it, the sky is wide and open. Why would they come right next to you if they didn't want you to see them?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, you can always wonder about that. But then there was another time where I was flying from Omaha. I think I was going to the burn center in Houston in a King Air on an air ambulance flight. And we were going in and out of the clouds. And when we were between clouds formations at one time, I saw the cigar coming from my left side. Of course, you're looking at it, it's backwards now, but from my left side, going straight across my path, probably about maybe a couple of miles, 3 miles, something like that ahead of me. It was black. It was probably, it was big enough. So there may have been 2 floors inside, but it looks just like a pencil, sharp in the front, and but it straight down at the back. And it went very fast. It took probably about 2 to 3 seconds from the time I saw it on the left until it was gone on the right.
What year was that?
That was, oh God, 1980 something. So
that was not UFO. That was us.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Sure.
yeah, that was a close one. Anything but 2 miles.
Oh yeah, no, it's enough to shake, rattle, and roll your brain to think about how close that is. That's right.
And I asked the air traffic control, did you see any traffic from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock ahead of me? And he said, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why it's black, because it can't pick up radar signals. It's stuff.
Actually, that is actually true, because we have paint now that reflects radar.
Yeah.
And
it's been around since the late 70s, just saying. For real, I know that for a fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yep.
What made you want to become a pilot? I find that kind of interesting.
Oh, that's being an agronomist that I was educated to be, and being on the farm, I figured it out after a while. I didn't want to do that the rest of my life, but I didn't know what I really wanted to do. And the first time a friend of mine was taking flying lessons, and I got to ride in the back seat watching them, and I looked around and I looked around and I got it. This is what I want to do. And I had one more ride with him in the back, and that solidified it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not scary. Yeah. I found it a little bit scary.
Yeah, but well, when you know what you're doing, it's perfectly all right. So,
that's right.
Yeah, and I came back and I created a dream around it. I saw myself, I visualized myself flying in and out of clouds, and I saw myself sitting there with the left hand on the controls and the right hand on the thrust levers.
Wow.
I did that every day for probably a couple of years. And I knew that in Norway, there was very few opportunities in aviation. So I wanted to go to the United States. And that's expensive to do. and there were no money to do that. So I just visualized myself doing it, and suddenly it dawned on me how I could do this. And I went and did it and came to the US, and here I am.
It's interesting because Dolly and I were just talking about how you manifest things. And it's not
Yeah.
just a matter of just thinking about it. You really have to create it
Create
and
it
take
in
the
your head.
opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see yourself, you put yourself there. Yeah. Yeah, the
Because-
universe is listening to us think, okay? And it knows when we're serious about it. And the more you manifest that in your mind and your heart, it
Yeah.
will go, okay, here you go. Here's the circumstances. And then the second part of that manifestation is being smart enough to grab the opportunity when it presents. You know, a lot of people say, I can't manifest anything. And I ask them, are you not grabbing the opportunity when it shows up? You know, that's the other half of it. It's not going to be given to you. You have to jump and grab it, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's amazing. Yeah.
Actually, all I did is now backed up by science, because we have found quantum mechanics tells us that we live in a mind-created universe. And I created it in my mind because there is a universal language. It's not one of words. It's not English, German, or not even Norwegian. So it is a language of feeling, emotion, vivid, colorful images, intention, and love. When you create a ball of energy using those concepts, you create something actually solid outside of the physical, and it goes into the field of the universal mind, and it sits there until you keep going back and forth and you start bringing it home into the physical. And that's what happened to me. I didn't know how it could happen, but it did.
Well, that's exactly how I tell people to learn astral projection. You have to take your emotions, your desire, your imagination, your willpower, you said the word intention. I think that's ultimately the real key here. You intend it. And once you achieve astral projection, which I know you've had some experiences, you realize just how strong the power of thought is. Consciousness is everything.
Absolutely. And yeah, we're going to do a show on that shortly, and that's going to be a fun one. Yeah.
So did you ever have any close calls while being a pilot? Any like scary things happen?
Well, yeah, I did. Because flying, you got to be sharp. You really need to be sharp. And you got to watch the panel. And that's what the scanning is all about. You watch all the instruments, because the warning lights can come on for a short moment and tell you something. If you're not looking at it, you miss it.
That's right.
Especially on the King Airs, on the panel up on top, the warning light come on, it flashes and goes off. And this is something that we got to be aware of. But there were one time that was a close one for me. I was flying a bunch of fishing people up into Canada, way, way, way north into the North Territory. And we had communicated with the radio out there. I mean, with the guy at the airport. And the airport in the wilderness, they did not have electricity except for the generator that they had. They had to fly the fuel in to run the generator. So they were kind of saving it. They didn't keep it on all the time, though they had to keep the rotating beacon on at night. But that was about it. So we told them that we're going to be there right between. We gave them a short time span, so for them to turn on the navigation beacon.
Yeah.
And I was heading north, and I flew out of range from where I came, so I had no navigation beacon. I only flew at what it looks on the ground.
Yeah.
And in northern Canada, everything, there's lakes, there is nothing hardly. So I had to estimate my course, and the wind and everything had to be pretty accurate. So I kept flying north, and I didn't find any navigation beacon. And obviously, they forgot to turn it on.
Oh no.
So I have been flying probably for about 3 hours without any navigation.
How was your fuel?
And well, fuel was okay.
Okay.
But what I realized that if I missed the airport, I didn't have fuel enough to go back.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
So I flew up higher, and when I knew I was in the general area, I kept looking around, and finally I saw a rotating beacon probably about 10, 20 miles to the right.
Oh gosh.
So over 2.5, 3 hours, I had missed the airport with about 10 miles, which is actually pretty accurate. Had I missed that airport, I would have run out of fuel and landed in the swamp in northern Canada. And you know what? There's bears out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
That was a close one, a really close one. And I talk about it now, but I never did back then. I didn't even tell my partner. I just couldn't tell anybody because that's a no-no.
It wasn't really, well, it's not really your fault either because they didn't turn the bloody, LS system on. They should have,
Yeah.
And
that's right. But
you did good for that happening to you. You did wonderful. You saved yourself. Literally, you were looking, There's a certain amount of sentient ability in us, psychic sentient ability. And when we start projecting out, looking for what we need to find, we generally do find it. It sounds like to me like you did that. That's pretty good,
Yeah.
Got to keep your intuition working in a situation
by the seat
like
of your
that.
pants is not fun. No, that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. That's pretty good.
So ultimately, why did you leave aviation?
I flew so much, and I was at the airport usually around 7 in the morning, 6 sometimes, and I was usually there close to midnight. I was a total workaholic, and I burned out. I found myself sitting in the cockpit with the autopilot on, reading a book. That's a no-no, and I knew I was an accident waiting to happen. So I quit flying because I started to get bigger ambitions, on different ambitions, and so I figured it out that I needed to quit. And the thing about it is that if you're a workaholic, there's a price to pay.
Exactly.
I paid the price. I lost my family over it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was never around when they needed me. And I did not realize it, but there came a day when she said, well, I'm going home to my mom.
Wow.
And the most intelligent thing I could say was, huh? And that was how it ended. So for those of you out listening and watching this, if you are a workaholic, you're gonna pay the price, one way or the other.
Yeah.
So quit it.
Yeah, we did a show with Linda Powell about Donald Kehoe, and he was also a workaholic. He was fighting the UFO cover-up.
Yeah.
And exactly what you're talking about. He had some tough times keeping his family together. He did, but still, he paid the price. So, good advice.
Yeah, that's not good.
Wow.
But flying though, the most fun I had actually with flying was teaching aerobatics.
Boy.
Yeah,
no, that's not for me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun actually.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
Very first time I ever wanted to fly, I went to the Peachtree DeKalb Airport in Atlanta. I was very young, and I went to to the place. They had this school there, flight school, and I walked in the door and told the woman I wanted to take a flight and possibly become a student. And they had two pilots there, and one of them looked me dead in the face and said, "I'm going to take her up." Okay, and she just looked at me like, "Oh God, are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I want to learn how to fly, but I'm going to pay for a flight today." And he said, "If you survive today, I won't charge you for this flight, and you'll become my student." And I'm like, okay."
Warning, red flag.
I did not know that he was capable of doing exactly what you're talking about. He could do it all. He took me up, and we got up in the air, and he started climbing. And the next thing I know, we're in a vertical, straight up, and he stalled to shoot it. Okay. Now he's dropping the wing. He's dropping down. He's bringing the nose down, and he's trying to get the engine restarted. It took him a second longer than he thought it was going to take. Okay. You'd think I'd have been screaming. I was in the seat going, "Wah!" He could not believe his eyeballs. I did not get sick and did not throw up. I was like, "Oh my God, this again."
I think you're both crazy.
I said I was having a good time. He turned around and he went, "Well," he said, "welcome to flight school." He was laughing. He said, "You're not afraid of anything, are you?" And I said, "That was the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. Are you kidding me?" He was like, "Okay, all right, we'll take you up. We'll start teaching." And I was a little disappointed at first because I had to do ground school first. I hated vectoring, but I did it, right? And we started
you're having fun. Did you ever do skydiving, Aage?
No, I can't think of a single reason to leave a perfectly healthy airplane.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked, because
I'm looking to go. I want to go. There's a thing. I'm almost ready to let them know. I'm going to go up with the Airborne Rangers and ride tandem down, do one more jump in a tandem jump, because I'm over 60. I'm almost 68 now, and so I'm going to let them do all the work, but I want to fly down again and jump. And
not me. And I don't even want to watch, Dolly. I told you.
Yeah, okay.
I love it. It's fun. But there's a lot to knowing what your shoot's doing, and safety's all concerned and everything, and ability.
Oh, yeah.
That plays into it. So.
Whatever you. Yeah, say again.
I'm also interested in speed reading, so I'm kind of finding it fascinating that you got into that as well.
That is actually, it is not really speed reading anymore, because we taught people how to assimilate information out of a book at about 50 to 100,000 words per minute with 95% retention. At that speed, when you turn 2 pages every second, you don't read anymore. Now you are doing subliminal photography. You're actually, and I think people out there listening to this, listen really close. Because if you're in college, or if you have kids in college, they need to know this, because if you start doing this, you'll ace every test that you do. And that is that when you turn pages that fast, it goes into bypass the conscious mind. The filters in the conscious mind go away, and you go directly into the subconscious mind, and that is your long-term memory. So when you get done with a book, usually you'll miss a few pages here and there, so we turn it over upside down and backwards. The mind don't care. And then we go through again 2 pages a second, and then we sit down and we tell ourselves, I will remember everything I have seen in this book and have perfect recall at any time I need it or want it. Because you don't want the conscious mind involved. That's why you don't look at the pages. You look through the book, about a foot behind it. Focus on a spot about a foot behind the book. So you go a little blurry. The subconscious mind will get it. Because when you do that, you disconnect the conscious mind, because the conscious mind says, well, I can't read this anyway. The subconscious can. And this is I was traveling around the country teaching this, and by teaching it, you get good at it. And this is something that they're still doing this course, even though this 30 years ago that I did this. It's called ZOX Pro Training, ZOX Pro Training. And that's zoxpro.com. You can go look at the website. And in fact, there is a couple of astronauts that's gone through that I speak highly of it. So,
Wow.
and when I was traveling with doing this, I went to the library sometime, and I came into a town, and I brought a stack of books. There was one time I remember that I had a stack of books on the table, and I was sitting there going through 2 pages a second, and there was a guy sitting at a table next, not too far away. He was sitting there looking at me, and that's okay. And he came back to me, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I told him, I'm reading. And he stood there, shook his head, and he walked away. He just couldn't get it. It's kind of reading in a way, but it's more like subliminal photography.
Yeah, I have an eidetic memory, I have photographic memory. And when I was in school, I would I knew what books I was going to be reading during the year ahead of time. And about 2 weeks before school started, I read them all. And then when I went to school, teachers, when you're in elementary school, it doesn't matter. If I read them all, I already knew it, and I'd have to sit there bored off my keister while the teacher explained everything to everybody. And they finally realized that I was losing my mind in there, and they sent me to the library, which I started reading the library books all the time. I made it all the way through elementary school living in the library, and I had read them all. Okay. And I'm a fast reader naturally, doing what you're talking about. I just go through it quick. When I hit middle school and high school, I would find out what teachers were doing what. I had one teacher who knew that I did this and decided to play a game with me, and they gave me the wrong book to read ahead of time. And I read that book, and then when I got to class, there was this other book. And I was like, okay, let's see how good you are. And the first day of the first class, I opened the book and I read the book in the class, the whole book, and shut it. And he said, "Did you just read the book?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "Did you get everything out of it you needed to?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "Let's give you a test and see how well you did." And he gave me the end exam, the last exam of the year, because, they have to have all this planned out. And I aced it. And he just stared at me and he said, "How do you do that?" And I said, "It's a technique. My dad learned to speed read, and he also learned basic tenets of what you're talking about. Not that exact thing, but he learned it. He could boom, 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 go through it." And he said, "Your dad taught you this?" And I said, "Pretty much." He took me to one of the classes, and I was already knew it because he had already taught me, but I sat through the class. I was interested, and he said, "Can everybody do this?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Look it up." And I clept the class after that. I didn't feel the need to be there anymore. I just clept it. Thank God they let me. And when I got to college, same thing. I started reading all the books right away. Okay. And the harder the subject matter, the more intensive, like nursing and stuff. There are things in nursing that you can't, there's principle and then there's action with nursing, and you employ what you in principle have just learned. And so I was a little bit more detailed when I was reading at that point. I slowed it down a little bit and really eidetically memorized it so that when I went to clinicals, I could boom, boom, go through it better. So I had to slow down for that. I realized that the more technical the information, you had to gauge how fast you took that information in or reread it several times, before you understood to employ it, but everybody can do this. I mean, everybody, there's no such thing as a dummy on this planet. You can do this.
Yeah, it's funny because I was reading from a very early age, and in high school, one of my teachers did a speed reading course basically on the class. He didn't give that explanation, which absolutely rings true because, I'm a really good speller, And I know how I do it is because I can see the word in my mind, almost like art. And in fact, if I can remember which, when I'm doing research, I'm like, oh, I need to look this case up. I can see it on the page, which page it is, lower up, which side, where it is in the book.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me because it's absolutely, I love this technique, how it's bypassing, our conscious mind and going into, I don't like the word subconscious because I think it's more super consciousness. You know what I mean? That's where our
Yeah.
real awareness is. But that is so fascinating. And I wish everyone knew this because that's amazing to me.
Yeah, I'm hoping the listener catching on to what we're talking about, because this can really help a lot of people in learning.
Yes.
Everybody can do it.
Absolutely.
Wow. That is so cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Here's another thing that really intrigues me about you, where you created the Freedom Civil Rights Investigation Service to help people with legal problems.
Oh boy.
What brought that on? Because boy, to help people is such an honor, and it really, I think, if you want to spiritually advance yourself, helping others is one of the quickest ways to do it.
Yeah, for the Civil Rights Investigation Service, that came about because I got involved with creating it's the Constitutional Party. It's not on my bio, but there's a lot of stuff that isn't on the bio, and that was back in Omaha also, and there's a lot of people having IRS problems and legal problems, and I was good at research, so I helped them out, and we created this, and we had I think it was about 20 of us all together that became investigators, and we, believe it or not, this is kind of unique, but somebody had IRS problems. We walked with them into the IRS office, sat down with them, and I was kind of had them briefed really good on what to say. And we let them know that we have discovered that paying personal income tax is voluntary. So I asked them, can you explain how that is? And they said, oh, no, it's not voluntary. And then we showed them where it says right there in their own writing that it is voluntary. And of course, that was the end of the interview. They threw us out, and they never heard from the IRS again. So that worked pretty good. I shouldn't even say this because I could become a target fairly easy, but good luck with that. I haven't given them anything since 1987.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Because it is voluntary. I have a congressional hearing. I have a recording of a congressional hearing with the head of the IRS admit 3 times on it that it is voluntary. Besides,
I don't like it because it's not in the original Constitution. It was an amendment that was put in there, and it was supposed to be repealed, and it never was. Yeah. It's supposed to be temporary. So.
Yep. But they had to do that. When they instituted the Federal Reserve Bank, they had to do the IRS also, because otherwise people would have too much money in their hands. So they had to have a way to extract money from the people to keep them poor and controlled.
Yeah. I used to work for the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and I am an ex-Fed. And one of the things that people don't understand is it was instituted to supply the war machine via the Navy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then people did it because we were at war and everybody was adhering to it. Okay. You were un-American if you didn't. I mean, it was an important thing and everybody supported the war efforts. But then it became a thing because we went from World War I to World War II, but there was a depression in between there as well. Okay. And stock markets fell and all of that. And the government couldn't stay open any other way. All right. And so the IRS started collecting taxes at that time, was still a division of the Navy. It still is, just as a matter of fact, just so you know. That's why the president is the commander in chief of the U.S. Department of the Treasury. The Federal Reserve is not truly a bank, it's a reserve. And it's supposed to hold the money that they collect from the Treasury. And then Congress and all these other guys have some rights to decide where those funds are distributed. Okay? This is how all of that began. But now it's turned into this ugly, ugly monster where banks are involved, because now the federal government keeps the banks from failing and the government from going under, and they have taken more and more and more control over the people in this country and other countries as well worldwide. Okay, and we've literally become slaves to those in authority over us, control over us.
Yeah.
And I wish people would understand that if you're going to vote for somebody, don't vote for somebody who's going to keep taxing you and keep using that against you. And I mean it from the state level all the way up to the federal level. Okay? It's just my 2 cents, y'all. Don't vote for people who want more taxes. You're not being helped by that.
Well, some states don't even have sales tax.
Right. Vote for people who want to help you survive, and that's allow you to grow and flourish with total autonomy and freedom. That's how we survive as a people. Otherwise, we're going to fall to communism or socialism, and that's what's happened to every other country in the world that has done that exactly. And Americans weren't. That's what our country was supposed to do.
It's all about greed and corruption, ultimately.
Right, and that's about as political as you're going to hear me get right now. But and that's what that is. That's the history of it. That's why it happened. And you are right, Augie. It's a participation thing. But now they've got all these other little sub laws or all these federal mandates and stuff like that. And when I say mandate is not a law, and it hems you in.
It's an absolute mess.
Yeah, it gives them a big stick to whop you with if you don't do what they tell you to do. So.
Yeah, well, it's going in. America was created for freedom. We did have freedom for 12 years. In 1776, we had freedom installed. And then in 1787, when they set the Constitution in place, the freedoms were taken away.
Right.
Wow.
They were put into different slots.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a great job, kind of fighting the system, because another thing that I found really interesting that you worked on was the Constitutional Liberator covering controversial issues.
Yeah.
Particularly, I'm fascinated about your work covering medical cures that are basically, quote, banned, because we all should have access to healthcare.
Yeah.
The pharmaceutical industry is definitely on my naughty list because I don't trust them. So what brought you to working with alternative medicines and things like this?
That was probably a minor thing, but I was hosting and producing 2 TV shows in Tucson for 6 years, from 1999 to about 2005. We covered a lot of the stuff, covered UFOs, a lot of UFO show, and hidden technologies, future technologies, and medical cures. I had naturopathic doctors on there, and we educated a lot of people. And of course, then in 99, when I got on the ballot and ran for Congress, I had people's ear because I had the show. So I educated a lot of people. And every time the incumbent senator that I was opposing, every time he said something, I went on the air and exposed his lies. So I gained a lot of enemies from that.
Wow.
And but I'm still here alive, and kind of amazes me that I'm still alive, actually, from what I did back then. But it's all water under the bridge. So I am I don't think much about the past anymore because I'm not going that direction.
Right. We're going this way. Right.
Well, that's wisdom. You can't let the past trap you. We're always
Uh,
moving forward.
yeah,
No. Yeah, it can't really affect you. It's gone and over with. How you conduct yourself
yeah,
from this point forward is
but
what you got to deal with. Yeah.
yeah. But I also I wrote these books actually, and one of them is for you know. Let me show you. It's um this one here. Uh-oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There
There it
you
is.
go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hold stop. Okay.
Universal success principles and how billionaires. There you go. That's better. That is. I'm on first name with three billionaires. Actually, that's not true. One of them, I can't find him anymore because he's in Hong Kong and he probably got himself in trouble because some of the things that he was thinking about, because he was freedom oriented, and that's China, that doesn't fly very well. But
Right.
I I learned a lot from them, and I wrote this book, and I have a lot of the principles because I discovered that if you live your life by principles, the details will fall into place. And there is a lot of things that they do. The super successful people, they do things they don't talk about. I found out some of these things. So if people are in business or like to be in business or have a better, smooth running life, a family life,
Mhm.
that book would really help them a lot because it talks about those principles, talks about creating an inner circle and an outer circle. It talks about how to manifest things out of the mind into the physical. And there is there's a lot of things there that you don't find anywhere except if you're
Hmm.
able to sit down with a billionaire and talk, because once they get into a conversation they open up, because they
Wow.
figured they wouldn't have a conversation with someone that is not listening.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah, and I was a sponge. I I sucked. I was, and it's just a simple thing. I was sitting in the living room of a billionaire in the Midwest, and he told me one thing that has stuck with me. And he said, "There is two things that go to the bank. One of them is money, and the other one is goodwill, and they have equal value at different times." So he said, if he was negotiating with someone and he found out the numbers does not work out, I can't do it. Instead of just saying no and goodbye, he explains to them, he lays out and explains to them, this is I have to make a little bit of money for the stockholders also. So I just can't do it. But I really like you. If you have other things in the future that you are looking for investors, I am all ears. I like to be your friend. You develop friendships, even among the people that you have to turn down.
Right.
That, he said, that has profited me enormously over the years, he said.
Wow.
So, and there is the inner circle. Let me just say something about that. Everybody should have an inner circle. An inner circle should be with someone you have absolute trust in. And even if you just have a family, your family could be the inner circle. Because families usually they want the same thing.
Right.
And then again, create an outer circle. That is people that you know have knowledge that you may want to access, or they have expertise that you don't have in order to further what you are doing. And you should have an inner circle meeting at least at least once a week, when you all get together and say, well, what do we want? What do we want to have? What do we want to do? What do we want to be? And whatever. When you then discuss that, then you spend the next week visualizing, feeling it, loving it, intending it into existence. Now, everybody should do this, because when they do, they join their minds together as one powerful energetic wave that goes into the quantum existence, get lodged there, and then you can bring it back home into the physical. So there's a science behind this, and that is why that this work, because people that do these things, they plan their future. The concept of, oh, whatever happens, happens. I'll guarantee you it will happen.
Right.
Yeah, well, I totally, feel that that's correct, because anyone who's worked with a team understands how much more powerful a team is than an individual. This is kind of a ridiculous example, but I worked at Pioneer Chicken, and it was just a team of 5 of us or so, but we would get things done by working together in a coordinated way. And if someone needed help in one area, we'd chip in there, and everyone knew how to do everyone else's job. And it was amazing just how well we worked together. I know, Dolly, as a medical professional or being in the military, it's the same sort of thing. A team is exactly what you're talking about here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that is a must in order to have a successful family, or a successful business, a successful church, organization. Don't be afraid to step out and be the oddball. I have a saying that if you think like the masses do, you're going to be like the masses.
Right.
If you are doing what the masses do, you are going to have what the masses have.
Right.
So are you sure you want that?
No,
The masses are not making it.
No. My dad used to say, go through life with these ideas in your head. And I'm like, okay, what would they be? And he said, perspicacity. Don't be afraid of stepping up and standing out, and doing actual the movement of what that means. And he said the other one is innovation. You have to think like an innovator constantly. He said you miss opportunities if you don't do that. You don't see what's out there for you. When you're manifesting, you still have to be able to grab that opportunity as it shows up. And he used to tell a joke about that, and I won't do the joke now, but yeah, it's serious. The universe is going to help you with everything you need, but unless you see it actually occurring in front of you and you go into it and take it, you've thrown it down. So those are the two biggies. And then you're exactly right. You don't make enemies, make friends. Willingness to be available to help and work in a consensus with other people. We should think of that as normal everyday life with everybody. If we all acted like big business in our personal lives, where we helped one another, took care of one another, and
like
had
a board
groups,
meeting.
we would do so much better. It would go so much better for everybody. It's a good habit to attain for your life.
My dad was a very powerful person, and he taught me that you can achieve anything you put your mind to. And he had examples of it over and over again. The number of people he helped was astounding. Each Christmas, we would get hundreds of Christmas cards. He never really sent them out. I'm like, Dad, what is it? He's like, you got to help people achieve their dreams.
Yeah.
And I have numerous examples of him doing that. There was one time, we had to get a bus pass to board the bus to go to school. They made them out of paper. And we were kids. We were running through the creeks. They would dissolve in a week. And the school wanted us to pay like $10 for a new one. He's like, we're not doing that. Let's go to school. And we marched into school, and he said, we're not paying for this. You are going to pay for it, and you are going to laminate every student's bus pass from now on. And he made it happen. because it's all about making a decision. You make a
Yeah.
decision and you follow through. People can't make decisions. They're, you really have to.
You're too busy following what the mediocre ones are telling you to do. I know.
Yeah.
No innovation. That was innovative. That's a good example of innovation. You have something that's not really working, and you come up with a way to innovate it, make it better.
And it's such a simple thing, but it ended up having a profound effect, on a lot of people. So I think that's exactly what you're talking about. Because let's face it, those who are standing out from the herd or innovating, they have a tough road. Pioneers in any field of science or thinking are attacked and ridiculed and get a lot of pushback. But now we look back at them and they're the heroes. They're the absolute heroes. So I think there's great truth to what you're talking about. So what other secrets can you give us from this book? This is interesting.
Dolly, you mentioned that we don't need enemies.
No.
You know how my biggest enemy many times during my life have been? Me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we can be our worst own enemies. Right.
Yeah, because I wanted something, but I was thinking about what held me back from getting it. That puts on the brakes and shuts off the flow from the universal mind. Because if you are concentrating on something, think on what you want. If anything detracting from it sneaks into your mind, you shut off the flow. Let me give you an example. About 4 years ago now, Norway and I put together a mastermind group that we have some incredible things happening. One of them was one of the members. He, I think it was on a Sunday. I think he said, "My wife is in the hospital. She is in intensive care, and she is in a really bad way with COVID." The next day, they were going to put her on remdesivir and the ventilator.
Yeah.
And you know what that does.
Right.
So he said, "What can we do?" And I said, "Well, let's do something." So we, on the whole group, wrapped our heads around her, the hospital, and we visualized and intended and felt her walking out of the hospital perfectly healthy.
All right.
And we sat there and did that for about 5 minutes, watched that. And then when we got done, I kind of flippantly said, I made a comment that I really didn't believe it, but I said it anyway. And I said, yeah, she'll be home tomorrow. And the day after in the afternoon, he called me and he said, "My wife is home." And the most intelligent thing I could say was, "Huh? She is?" And he said, "Yeah, the doctor told her you recovered so fast, there was no reason for us to keep you any longer."
Nice.
And that was half of it. The other half is that we visualized her walking out of the hospital. If you know how it works at a hospital, they won't let you do that.
That's
you
right.
have to be in a wheelchair until you're outside the walls. Now, she didn't do that. She walked out.
Yeah.
She wouldn't get in the wheelchair.
I'm one of those people. Yeah. I don't ride the wheelchair. Yeah. Not kidding.
Say again?
I don't ride the wheelchair. I got sick when we came back from Shag Harbor. I got a bacterial infection, and it was going to eat me. And I was in the hospital for 3 days. And about halfway through, I decided, you know what? I'm not staying here anymore. I'm going to get over it right now, and I'm getting the heck out of here. And they watched me literally do that. And when I was getting ready to walk out, they said, you want a wheelchair? I went, nope, walking out. And I did. I walked right out the door. And that's how you do it. You know, you can, your ability to manifest stuff, your ability to see things happening, self-healing, helping others to heal, all of that lies within each one of us. We all got that power, all of us. And
Yeah.
I didn't ask for the
100%.
infection, but by God, I got over it, boom. And it's not easy. We all have to be willing. That's another thing, I think. We all have to be present for it, You had all those people who were present. They were absolutely invested in doing that. Okay. If you're gonna only halfway be there, stand back. Let somebody who is willing to be in it. You know what I'm saying? Because it lowers the end result when people do that for themselves and for everybody else. Don't do anything halfway ever.
Yeah, my dad said that. Never do anything half-assed is how he put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right, Augie. People are self-defeating. There was a movie with Jim Carrey called Yes Man. I think it was Jim Carrey. Just say yes. Don't say no. Say yes. You can do this.
Yeah.
And it can. I mean, the differences are amazing. You can achieve so much more by just actually giving it a try.
That's right.
You're not going to win if you don't enter. If you do, you have to go out and try it. Failing teaches you a lot, and there's no way you can succeed unless you actually go out there and try.
Yeah, and just for the listeners and the viewers out there, you gotta learn from somebody. Don't take advice from somebody that has never done anything, because they can teach you how to do what they do, which is nothing.
Right.
Go find yourself someone to learn from that have or do what you want. And I am associating with Greg Braden about every day. Now, I've never met the guy, but I associate through, I watch his videos, I read his books, I read his speeches, I absorb what he is talking about. You don't have to be in the presence of people to associate with them. You can do it at a distance. With other words, find somebody. When you are walking through a minefield, find somebody that has bigger shoes than you have and walk behind them.
Absolutely.
I have a size 12 cowboy boots, so I've been walking through that minefield a long time, and I have alligator bites to prove it.
So is that what inspired you to write this book, Spiritual Science? All this stuff you've learned?
That's the one that, oh boy, there's a story behind this one. This one changes people's life. And if you want to learn how to use your mind in ways you normally would think would be impossible, then read the book. And when you do, you have full access to me. We can talk. I can help you plan. In fact, I can help you plan the future if you like, because there's things that you can do that you probably would not know that would put you on a fast track into the future, solidifying it every day, and you're going to get there. Because a lot of the stuff in there I got from a download that I had coming out of meditation. The universe was explained to me in concept and detail, and a lot of that is in the book, besides a lot of my own research also. And I think that for people reading the book, well, I get the emails from them. I said, this changed my life. I get those emails are coming in every week. And
I can hear them coming in right now. The ding ding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in fact, you go to Amazon, you can find that book. They put my name in there and everything comes up. And now the book about the billionaires, that is not on Amazon because it's kind of been a personal thing that I've kind of mostly let out to people in the mastermind group. And I've not really marketed it so much. It is in a catalog from Tools for Freedom out of Hawaii. You can get it there, or you contact me and I can get it to you. So the thing is, for people that read, which is fewer and fewer of us, readers are leaders. And when you read a book, instead of watching a video, something happens when you read something and you write things down, because it goes in through the eyes and it gets recorded in the subconscious mind. If you also read loud, it goes in and recorded a different place in the subconscious mind. If you make note, it goes also and recording in the third place in the subconscious mind. Now you got it recorded 3 different places. It is more solidly there. It's easier to remember, and it also make a bigger impact on your actions that comes out of the subconscious mind.
You're alluding to the fact that we need to employ all of the parts of the mind that learn. There are a lot of people that say, are you an auditory learner? Are you a physical learner? Do you have to have hands-on visual? Actually your brain works all together all the time. So if you employ all of your brain, you're doing something good for yourself. You're not just sticking it in a file somewhere that's harder to get to. Your brain has to work in tandem. All the hemispheres of your brain work in tandem with one another. So you're stating it absolutely purely correctly in my mind that that's exactly what you do. Exactly.
Yeah. There was a study about how to learn different languages, which of course, Aage, you've learned a number of them, but they found that what was most effective was repetition out loud in a group. And they did a whole study of this where I forget how they did the first way, and then the auditory way. They remember twice as much. The ones who did just repetition of a word, they had a lot better recall. So
repetition that's very important. Repetition is good. Another thing you can do, go to zoxpro.com, look at it. If you get that course and go through it, it'll take you 30 days to go through it. But then what you can do to learn a language, get the dictionary, let's say English, German, or English, whatever, 2 pages a second. Go through the book a couple of 3 times. Now the subconscious mind knows the language according to the words. Structures of sentences is different, but when you start learning it now, learn the sentence structure, all the words will fill in. This is something that it makes it so simple. Now, I didn't say easy, I said simple, because there's some effort on your part. So it is really simple. That is a simple way to learn a language. And then, of course, you got the audio, you got tapes or CDs now, you can learn them too. So learning a language is simple anymore.
Wow.
Right. So, everybody has access to language learning too. I mean, it's everywhere, Yeah. There's no place that you can't not find it. It's everywhere. Yeah.
I'm always intrigued by the titles of people's books, and this one intrigues me, Spiritual Science. Where did you come up with that title? And I like the cover, by the way. It's a pretty cover.
I like it too.
I have no idea. I think it just came.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't remember? All right.
But it kind of made sense, because a lot of the stuff in there is how to deal with and how to interact and get information from spiritual sources. So,
a lot of people will talk spirituality, but they don't. This annoys me sometimes. Sometimes you have to, how do I put this? If you're vague when you're talking about spirituality and not precise or concise, you're doing a disservice to yourself and everybody else. But the more precise and concise you are in describing and then teaching to employ spirituality, because that's another thing. It's something you learn and you employ it. It becomes part of who you are, and you actually work at it yourself. It's an employment that you have. We come here to learn how to do everything. That's what wisdom is, being able to use and employ everything we learn. And spirituality teaching needs to go there, We need to absolutely go there. because there's so many different components of spirituality, and I don't want to listen to somebody talk about it vaguely. Let's get specific. Let's dive into each component of it and see where it leads us, and it's important.
Yeah.
Soapboxing. Okay, go ahead.
And I know also that, did you free? No, we're still here. If you have a nuts and bolt person, I call them, the people that don't believe in anything spiritual whatsoever, it's all science.
Yeah.
We can tell them, start studying
Yes.
quantum mechanics.
Yes.
And most of the stuff that you wonder about when it comes to spirituality is explained through quantum mechanics. That's where the spirituality hides within quantum mechanics. And even Einstein said something, I think I have to paraphrase on this. He said, the deeper you get into the tunnel of quantum mechanics, the more God will be staring back at you.
That's right. Yep. He literally, somebody asked him, did he believe in God? And he said, yes. And then he went that route. He went mathematics to quantum mechanics. And he said, the more you delve into this, the more you see, I think they got intentional design, intelligent design from him, because God is in the details. He's in there. Yeah. And you can't, he said, besides, he also said this, if there was no God, we'd have to invent him, because this is very complicated stuff. And he's still there. You'll find him again when you go back. And that, he said, all directions lead to God, all of them. All science leads to God. You can't deny it. And he said it about 15 different ways, actually, all the time. And it amazes me how people didn't latch on to that. It's not commonly known. I say this to people all the time, and they look at me like, what? Did he say that really? And I'm like, yes. Yes, he did. I agree with you.
Absolutely.
All right. I have some more questions, Aage. I'm curious. Have you ever had a ghostly encounter?
Oh, boy. You had to ask, didn't you?
I'm just got a feeling.
Yeah. After Halloween, so yeah.
I wouldn't call it a ghost. I would call it an extra physical being. I might as well. I talked about this very rarely on shows, because it is so far out there that it takes away from the credibility of the person for a lot of people. But anymore, I really don't care. So I'll tell you. There was in the Christmas of 1973, I went back from flight school. I went back to Europe, back to the farm now, which was sold to someone else. And I walked into the forest. And in that forest, there is a Viking grave mound that's probably about 20 foot tall. It's pretty big. And there's a Viking laying in there, and whatever else we don't know, because it's never been uncovered, but we know it's a Viking grave mound. And I crawled up on top of that thing, and I sat down, and there's a rock up there. So I sat down and I meditated. And I was sitting there for a little bit, and suddenly I heard a kind of like the water was running, like somebody turned on a faucet, and there was water running. And I remember that this stuck in my mind. I'll never forget it. I thought, water? That can't be. So I opened my eyes up, and there was this man standing in front of me, probably about 10 feet away. And it scared the daylight out of me, because he was lit up like a light bulb. And he was about 7 foot tall. He had a robe on, and there was gold around his cufflinks, and the gold, it looked kind of like somebody that was something. And I scared the daylight out of me. I jumped up, ran down from the mound, and headed on back. And I heard this voice in my head saying, "Where are you going?" And I thought about that. I figured, well, if he wanted to get me, he probably could have done that by now. So I walked back. I walked up on the mound and I sat down again. And he was standing there, and that became uncomfortable because he was so far up there. So I stood up. So I was not so much difference in height anymore. And we had a conversation. And I asked him, "Who are you? What is your name?" And he said, "We do not use names. But if you absolutely need one, call me Lowell. Loul." And I said, I got to paraphrase again because this is 50 years ago. Now, I asked something to the effect, how do you communicate if you do not use names? And he said, we think of the person we want to communicate with, and the person get our message, and we have communication. And obviously mind to mind, because I discovered after a while that he wasn't talking to me using the voice box. He was talking in my head.
Telepathy.
So it was, mental communication. And I asked a few more questions where he was from, and he said, if you do not understand where you are, my answer would will have no purpose for you. And well, I'm on Earth, but where is that? So and he told me some things that I should consider doing, and I have done a lot of that. And one of the things he said was, find a way to speak to the whole world. And guess what? We're doing that right now.
Yep, exactly.
Amazing. I'm loving this, Aage. Go on. This is so cool.
And he said, I will be there with you, and we will guide you in what you do. But it is up to you if you will listen.
Yeah.
And I have not been a very good listener, because I have too many of my own ideas that sometimes, and he comes back ever so often, and we do communicate. And he reminds me again, maybe you should listen.
Yeah.
And
extra-dimensional buddy.
Yeah.
He's in the same. He's in the same space as you. He's just extra-dimensional, and they go around you. They watch you. Yeah.
Yeah. He was not. It was not a physical guy. He was. I would call him a light being. And I asked him when he was. I asked him one more time actually, where are you from? And are you a spirit, or are you? I guess I asked about what else he might have been, and he said, we are higher in your development. And I asked him also about our relationship. Why are you here talking to me? He said, because you have potential.
Right.
If you listen.
Right. Yeah, you're waking up, you're aware. They know it.
That's the key to a lot of things, huh? Listening.
I say it a lot. It's like you think if you don't shut up and listen. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And he also says, you are also one of us.
That's right.
So how I would interpret that could go two different directions, because everything in the universe is connected. Right. So I could interpret that as I am one of them by connection, or I could be a spiritual being like him that took on this body for a purpose.
Yeah,
Oh,
either
no,
way,
I
both
don't.
at the same time. That's right. We are you, you are us, we are all one. And yes,
Yeah,
we choose to come at certain times in certain places for very valid reasons. This isn't just a classroom where you come and learn things. This is also an opportunity to be involved and help to bring people through to knowledge as well, you
yeah,
know? And you're already advanced, you're already hearing all this stuff, you're able to perceive it, and you're being worked with to help. That's the thing,
that
you
is
know?
so
yeah,
cool. I think a lot of people who are in this kind of work have these kinds of experiences.
yeah,
Some don't talk about it, which I understand, but I
Yeah.
find that very credible, actually. That's amazing to me.
yeah.
Which
And a lot of the stuff in that conversation and stuff, you will find it right in here. And
I was going to say, yeah.
so,
That book out.
Well, that
Absolutely.
raises another question in my mind. What do you think about past lives? Do you have any memory of past lives, or
yeah, yeah. Uh, the reincarnation cycle, or should I say the cycle, I guess, is something that is more or less imposed on us. I I've talked to a lot of people about reincarnation. I haven't found one yet that want to come back and do Earth over again.
It's a
But
tough school. Yeah.
it does have a purpose, even though we may not have to like it, because a lot of the stuff in our life is, well, there's a term for it that I can't use on TV. So, but there's good stuff coming from even bad stuff that happens. I
Right.
know that.
yeah?
I had something bad happen and 2 books came out of it. So, yeah, there is learning experience in absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of goofy things that I wasn't listening to loud, and that set me back. But in a roundabout way, I don't know. Maybe it had a purpose for me to learn something that was negative in order to advance further in a
Absolutely.
spiritual arena later.
That's how that works. That's exactly correct. Have you had an opportunity to like try to uh, turn your memory on to what some of your past lives might have been? Have you ever had a feeling of what they might have been? You know?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have. And one of them is my co-host on partner and co-host on Broadcast Team Alpha. She is a hypnotherapist, and I'm a hypnotist, but I use self-hypnosis. But self-hypnosis is kind of limited in some ways because you still have to talk to yourself, and that creates consciousness, mind activity that it doesn't get you deep enough. So Nori hypnotized me once live on the air on Broadcast Team Alpha.
Wow.
And we went back and we visited a couple of different lifetimes. One of them, I was a merchant in Europe, and I was on a ship one time. In fact, she was there with me. And we got in bad weather, and the ship sank, and we drowned.
Oh Lord.
Yikes.
Preston
Now,
has a life like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, several.
and another thing too, I was on a spaceship, and there's things that came out. You can go to Broadcast Team Alpha way down there 5-7 years ago. You can find that. I think it says Aage Hypnotized Live or something like that. It got interested, but I also talk about the reincarnation cycle is not mandatory.
No, it's not. You're exactly right. We
Yeah,
choose. We absolutely choose when and where. It's up to us to decide.
Well, it's
Nobody
because
has to do anything. Right.
we can learn so much here on Earth that, on the higher planes there is no negativity. There's no
right.
pain. There's
Yeah.
the opportunities here to experience stuff. It's maybe difficult, but the learning experiences that come out of it, you get wisdom of the kind that you cannot get there.
Right.
Yeah. That's why Earth is, or at least what I understand, that it is very special.
I've heard that.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Robert Monroe talked about that.
Not everybody qualified to even come here.
Yeah, it's true.
So, but I don't know. It should make us feel special, possibly, but I'm not so sure. But what
Or
we do,
unique. I would call
yeah,
it unique. You know,
unique. There you go.
definitely
Mhm.
unique. Yes.
But I think a lot of people don't manage their time here. They just slide through whatever happens, and they totally miss the boat because I, I believe everybody that comes here, there is a purpose for it.
Mhm.
And they have several purposes. They have minor things that they need to learn how to do in order to do also major purposes that is in their capacity to do while they are here.
Right.
So if they are not able to accomplish a lot of that, they could select to come back and give it another shot in order to get certain learning experiences. But now when they're saying that you have thousands of lifetimes, I don't know about that. It could be, but I kind of doubt it. But if that's the case, I don't feel like I need to come back here anymore. I learned so much.
At some point, why would you?
Yeah, why would you? Because there are also jobs to do in the higher spiritual realms, and especially up and beyond the the upper levels of the astral realms.
Right.
Things look just as solid and real as here.
Yes, they do. That's right.
So
It's
there's a lot.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot to learn there too.
Yes.
You learn at a different level, so I'd rather do that. And
Yeah. And
maybe,
this is my last ride down this rodeo. I'm done here. And
yeah,
I plan. No. I agreed to come here for a reason, and I'm here, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm ready for the next thing. You know.
We'll have
I'm
a
ready.
big graduation party. It'll be fun.
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
All
and
right, we got about 3 minutes left, so we're
oh
gonna have to.
wow, that time went fast.
Yes, it did. Yes.
Well,
It did.
three
Okay.
to. Well, we can't really push 10 minutes, but 3 to 7 minutes. We have a
Yeah.
little bit of leeway, but yeah.
All right, then. Well, just go to Amazon and put my name in there and see. And on this book, on the back of it, there's a listing of all the things that you will find in the book.
Awesome.
And go ahead and read that, and chances are you'll find something that you can't live without, because I talk about the reincarnation part. I talk about success principles there too, and talk how to use your mind in ways you normally would think would be impossible. So the people that read it, I talk to a lot of them, and I think you will enjoy it because I know it will make your life better.
Yeah. And for those who can't see it, it's called Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful cover again. I like
It's
it.
on Amazon. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And then, of course, this one, which is a little harder to find, you say, but still
Yeah,
accessible.
go to there's a catalog somewhere around here I could show you, but toolsforfreedom.com. It is in that catalog, and otherwise people that is part of the mastermind group that we have, you can also get it there too. Now the mastermind, if somebody want to be part of something really bigger than themselves and create out of seemingly nothing, send me an email and I'll send you a link so you can come and check it out. Send it to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And I'll send you a link and come and check it out on Sunday at 11 o'clock Pacific and 2 o'clock in the afternoon East Coast time on Sundays. We get together for the first hour. We meditate and we recreate our reality. And the second hour, we kind of have deep discussions. So it gets kind of interesting.
It sounds
Teaching.
interesting.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great show. Thanks for coming back.
Oh, you're
Always
so
amazing
lucky.
talking to you.
Absolutely,
Well,
yes.
this has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of stuff. So, yeah, very interesting stuff.
All right,
Yeah.
Preston. We're going to say goodnight to all our guests in chat. We will have been with you Monday night while this is playing. So you'll hear us and see us then. And so it should get exciting in there, I hope, because there's lots to talk about. While Augie's discussing all this with us, I really want to talk in depth with you all about it. And Augie, you're welcome. I will send you the link to the Monday night show. You can come in the chat with us if you got the time. I think
He's
everybody's
busy at that time, hence the pre-record.
Oh, darn. Well, we tried.
Okay. So I would say, in the words of Spock, live long and prosper.
That's right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming to us on this Monday night at the Light Gate. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana. We're on the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. We are on Facebook, we're on Roku, we're on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. We love you all very much. And as Augie said, live long and prosper. And we'll see you next Monday. May night.
Bye, everybody.